Welcome back. I'm in Brownington, and Brownington is where, oh sorry, I got an itch. Brownington is where Alexander Twilight, and I named my middle child, my second son, Alexander. And Alexander is like a really like kingly name, and I always talk about like my grandfather Elmer was Elmer Gustav, and all of these threads that go through all my storylines. If you bother, I don't know. I don't really have a lot of viewers, so I got to kind of start from scratch on all of these. So I could give you a recap on this and that or whatever, but I guess today's topic, I suppose, is about is about listening, because I was talking. I'm talking to you. I'm asking you to listen, and when I watch these YouTube videos, what's really entertaining is not necessarily a lot of listening. It can be the most simple visual trick in the world, but it doesn't really involve the mind so much. So I ask a lot when I ask the viewers to just listen in for a little bit. And so I guess today I want to talk about listening, because I'm now addicted to listening for psychic experiences. And now I'm going to tell you, my whole life, people who talk about psychic things like that, I was just so skeptical. And I just thought it was all some sort of big put on and everything like that. And so, I mean, if that's what, I'm just trying to tell people what goes on, because I've had all these amazing coincidences that to me are beyond coincidences. And so I keep talking about them over and over and over again. And then I've come to conclude that I'm in the middle of having a series of psychic communications that I'm trying to talk about here on YouTube. And so the topic of listening was we realized that it's more exhausting to listen than to talk, really. And I know that when I go to edit these videos, it's really hard for me to listen to myself, to edit it and talk. It's way easier for me to just come out here and speak off the cuff. And so if we want to convey the energies that I've been talking about for the soul, it involves a lot of exhausting listening to people we love. And so I guess that's the short message for the day. And I think it's probably better just to keep it short. So thanks for listening in. And to end, I'm just going to sweep around, because it's now October 16th, and a lot of the leaves got blown down with a big wind and rainstorm that just blew through here in the last couple of days. And but what is turning are the larch, which are the coolest tree to have in the backyard in Vermont for me, because they are the first one to get green in the spring. And so they get this really light green in the spring, and then in the fall, when all the other leaves are down, they turn into this golden larch. And some of the where I'm standing, some of the larch are really starting to get some color. So I'm going to just do a little photography at the end here in one continuous cut, and just sweep around to the larch and see what we get. So this is my life. I have a frustrating life. I have my card have data deleted after I talk, so it's really, I have a lot of wild occurrences happen to me. I guess, it wasn't supposed to, I guess what I recorded, I wasn't supposed to be putting out there. It wasn't entertaining or anything. But I love being here in Brownington because I live so close to Brownington, I can just walk over. And as I said, I keep talking about these meteors and these sources of hyper intelligence in this Barton, Brownington area. And so I live in Barton, but this is Brownington. And Alexander Twilight, he was the first black man in America to have a college degree. Grew up in Brownington, and in in Barton, just across, is the home of Henry Leyland, and Henry Leyland was really responsible for winning the war for freedom, to end slavery in the Civil War, because he was a master of precision manufacturing. And learned it at a very young age. And I believe he worked for Colt during the war, and they made weapons that in a factory with interchangeable parts. And the North was better supplied, and they drafted tons of Irishmen, and they had a larger army. They had the largest army in the world. And so Henry Leyland then was the father of the automotive industry, really, because of his expert in manufacturing. They asked him to audit on a foreclosure of Henry Ford's original attempt to make an automated production plant for cars. And instead of liquidating the parts, which they asked him to do, to find out what it was worth, he said, no, let's make cars here. And he made the Cadillac, and the Cadillac won a prestigious award because they went to France with 3 Cadillacs, took them apart, scrambled all the parts, and then put them back together, and had there's lots of motorcycles on this road because it's still beautiful out, and so people are out cruising it, because you can see I'm out shirt sleeves. Actually, my brother's place, Bullfini's. Shout to my brother. And anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so Henry Leyland, they took these Cadillacs to France, and they took them apart, and they shuffled all the parts up, and they put them back together, and they started up, proving that all the parts were were made to a spec that they were completely interchangeable. And then they manufactured really beautiful cars. The Cadillac was an amazing vehicle. And then he left Cadillac, and then I think it was to make aircraft motors or something like this. He started Lincoln, and then they were making the Lincoln car. And so it was funny, Lincoln is the competitor of Cadillac, so Cadillac doesn't mention Henry Leyland. And Ford bought Lincoln, and Henry Ford doesn't mention Henry Leyland because he was mad at Henry Leyland for life, basically, for taking his factory away. It was really the bank that took it away, but Henry Leyland made a fine automobile out of there, even better than Henry Ford's. And so it's interesting, the two intelligences. Alexander Twilight, first man of African descent, I guess, or black man, however you want to say it, in America to get a college degree, and then the first one to be in a state legislature. And he represented Brownington in the state legislature of Vermont. And so he's such an impressive figure because, as I do these, just talking out these videos, you realize, wow, it takes a certain power to command an audience. And Henry Leyland was a great engineer and manufacturer, and Alexander Twilight was a great politician and thinker. And so it's really an honor to live on the border of Brownington and Barton. And I guess that's it for today. I'm going to just sweep it right back a little bit at the end here and dim the lights. Goodbye.